He's going to figure out a way to subliminally tell us something off, bro. We seen the display the other day when she walked past reporters with her face up against the wall like this. Like she ain't want to talk to nobody. Well, I'm here to tell you, we finally get locker room footage. Now, this is something that we have not seen throughout this entire tournament. Videos of what is going down inside Team USA locker room.
It was meant to be just another standard qualification, but instead it became an unexpected chess match. Despite breaking records, one player was inexplicably benched. Fans panicked as the offense stagnated, and inquiries remained unanswered. Then, like a thriller's plot twist, a new coach showed up and everything made sense. The apparent became indisputable all of a sudden. What was the underlying tension that had been building, and why did it take so long? Shake up to allow the truth to take over the floor at last?
Welcome to the Bandano Podcast, where we're calling a spade a spade. Great to be here with you guys today. What did I just watch? What happened? Where was all the transition offense from yesterday? Where was all the team ball from yesterday? Non-existent today. You know what happened? I'm just speculating here. Kara Lawson, preparing for today's game, she got tapped on the shoulder. Tap, tap, tap. She looked behind her, and there she was, staring at Kara Lawson.
Caitlin Clark's dominance isn't the uncomfortable aspect. That was what everyone anticipated. The uncomfortable aspect is how. Once someone stopped overanalyzing it, it was simple, because Clark's greatness is no longer a question. Between 5 shattered records and a 55-point demolition, that discussion quietly ended.
This is very profound. Now, in the footage that I'm about to show you guys, you're going to see Caitlin Clark not talking to anyone. Head down like this. Everybody else going to be laughing and joking and playing. But she's going to be very serious. Now, I believe this footage was taken before the game, possibly after the game. But to me, it don't matter when it was taken. It's letting us know her attitude while in Puerto Rico, I should say. Now,
the true question is who made the initial decision that she needed to be toned down and why a coaching disappearance was necessary. For the return of common sense, let's begin with a section that, regrettably, sounds like fiction but is not.
That Caitlin Clark is stuck on the outside looking in, and I feel like I have an idea why. Be honest with you guys, I believe there's some agenda going on. I believe Kara Lawson is back coaching Duke, the head coach of Team USA. She wasn't even there today. She wasn't even present, okay? I believe Nate Tibbetts was told you do not start Caitlin Clark. Chelsea Gray is the starter no matter what.
As Team USA begins its qualifying run, Clark appears on the global scene as if she had been waiting all along. Her whole life for this precise occasion. As analysts like to say, she wasn't finding her groove, easing in, or adjusting gradually. They are purchasing time. She instantly changes the course of history.
So Team USA just had an impressive win yesterday over Italy, in which Caitlin Clark came off the bench to give us 12 points, 5 assists, had a handful of turnovers. Overall, a good game. The entire game changed the minute she got in there, as every game does usually. Caitlin Clark has a problem. Number one, she's too good. She's running circles around people. She can drop 30, 40 on your head. She can give you 15, 18 assists if everybody catches and scores. She's a problem. She changes the entire pace of games. It's ridiculous. And then on top of being good, she's also global. She's iconic.
5 records in a single game, not dispersed over a competition, nor accumulated over time like mementos to single appearance. One stat sheet, one loud declaration to the whole basketball community that she will not be participating. She's coming to make things right. Any sensible coaching staff would now consider that performance and declare, this is the engine now. The system is this, going on, everything centers around this. Rather, what came next felt more like a collective endeavor where no one desired a strategy. Student completing all of the work even if they just took 5 minutes to complete the task. In response to this historic outburst, Kara Lawson did what can only be characterized as fiercely democratic. Minutes grew erratic, rotations began to change, and somehow, The athlete who recently made history in international basketball began stretching off the ball, or even off the court, as though all of this was a component of a more comprehensive philosophical assertion regarding justice. On the surface, it sounded noble. Everyone is worthy of touches. Everybody is entitled to rhythm. Everybody is worthy of their moment, which is a lovely concept up until you recognize that you are using it on a player who has just made the entire game into her own highlight reel. It was similar to finding a Formula One car and choosing to drive it in a school zone because the other cars might feel abandoned. Out.
And you know what Stephanie White said? Slow it down, coach. Slow it down. You see all the publicity Caitlin Clark's getting today? Did you see the news? Everybody's talking about Caitlin Clark. We can't have that. The transition offense, Caitlin Clark making passes that nobody in the league has ever seen before. We can't have that. Slow it down, Carol Lawson. Switch it up. We got to make everybody else shine. We don't want her. Everybody else needs to shine. Today's night, gonna be Paige's night and Angel's night. Yeah. What a brutal game, folks. What a brutal.
Then the moment of the press conference arrived, which added a little suspicion to the whole situation. A reporter posed a fairly straightforward question. Lawson gave a masterpiece in saying a lot without saying anything in response to a question regarding Clark's job. Anything at all. The answer veered into generalizations of cooperation, shared accountability, and how each member of the team is accustomed to being a star elsewhere, which, in theory, is all true, is wholly unrelated to the query posed, because it was clear to everyone whether the team have talent. Why the most effective player on the floor was being treated like a guest in her own offense was the source of the uncertainty. At this point, everything begins to feel more planned and less coincidental, due to the fact that sitting in the same coaching ecosystem was Stephanie White, who also happens to be Clark's professional coach with the Indiana Fever. You already recognize the pattern if you have been paying close attention. Move Clark off the ball, slow down the game, restrict the amount of time she spends orchestrating an open. Transform a generational playmaker into something a little more restrained. You may refer to that as a stylistic preference on an individual basis. When combined, it begins to appear like a shared philosophy. Fans took note, because although basketball enthusiasts may disagree on everything, they are adept at identifying when things doesn't feel right. And when Clark was in charge, the team they were observing appeared to be electrifying, and oddly reluctant when she wasn't.
What's going on, my Fly Happy family? It's your boy Izzy. Welcome if you're new. Hey, my neighbor was just grilling over there, and guess what he grilled? Hamburger and steak. Hey, it might be some beef in the air tonight, man. Nah, in all seriousness, man, some of y'all have been hitting me, asking me, Izzy, what is your take on this Caitlin and Angel situation, the USA basketball team? What's going on here? Can you give us some insight?
It was supported by the numbers. It was screamed by the eye exams. One straightforward thing caused the pace to drastically change. If Clark was holding the ball, however, the narrative now takes a turn that even the most committed conspiracy theorists were caught off guard. Carl Lawson was gone just before a crucial game, not phased out gradually, not ceremoniously swapped out, simply vanished. There was no satisfactory conclusion, no big announcement, and no obvious explanation. She is there one day, cautiously controlling rotations and avoiding direct responses, then the next day she is not on the sidelines at all, and Nate Tibbetts enters that very handy vacuum Tibbetts didn't show up with a manifesto about team balance or a lengthy discourse about philosophy. He took a far more drastic action. In this specific circumstance, he selected the best guy to start after reviewing the squad. That was all. Nothing dramatic. There was no committee decision, no sentimental discussion about justice. Just a straightforward, almost oddly apparent basketball choice. When Clark begins, everything that had before been difficult suddenly becomes quite straightforward once more. The ball moves and the attack flows. Players who previously appeared a little uneasy now appear to have remembered how to play basketball. The spacing gets better, the pace quickens, and the system as a whole begins to operate as intended by a person who likes to score points. The roster, which includes celebrities including Kelsey Plum, Clark, is accompanied by Ryan Howard, Paige Beckers, and Angel Reese. And what follows is a hidden statement rather than merely a victory. As a scoreboard, a 55-point victory, 101-6.
So people think Caitlin Clark is getting iced out on Team USA, but she's still leading the team in points and assists. I've seen the clips everyone's posting. Moments where it looks like Caitlin Clark is wide open and not getting the ball. Or another player is pushing the ball up the court instead of letting her initiate the offense. But here's the part people are missing. This roster is loaded. You got elite guards like Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, and Paige Beckers. You also have players with completely different styles like Angel Reese, who naturally push the pace when they grab rebounds. So when you have a roster this loaded with talent, there's gonna be an adjustment period.
The kind of outcome that ends disputes as well as a game, thus it is no longer speculative. You can't suggest, maybe this strategy could work, when another strategy only resulted in a demolition that appeared to. A group that assembled 5 minutes prior to tip-off and a varsity team. However, the actual moment, the game was followed by the one that caused everyone to shift uneasily in their chairs, due to Nate Tibbetts' failure to. He didn't deflect. Instead, he did the typical coach thing. He didn't use ambiguous words to conceal himself. He didn't defend the earlier system that is politely ambiguous. Simply put, he admitted that the continuous rotation modifies had failed, that the team required consistency, and that Clark and the other key players' lineup made sense, which is roughly equivalent to stating, yeah, we overcomplicated this, in coaching terminology, and in an instant, everything changed. What appeared to be a philosophical discussion turned into a extremely preventable error. What was formerly described as team balance began to feel more like withholding your most productive player for reasons that are beyond comprehension, and it is now difficult to overlook the knock-on repercussions. Because this is about more than just one international run. It's about what will happen next, particularly back in the WNBA, where Stephanie White continues to lead the Indiana Fever. A highly visible analogy is currently a mechanism that slows Clark down and redistributes her responsibilities is on one side of the table and attempts to establish equilibrium. Conversely, you have a system that says, give her the ball, let her see the floor, and observe what transpires. Point one creates clumsy stretches and perplexed belongings. The other generates unprecedented performances and victories of 50 points.
All right, Nate Tibbetts took the podium today to address things about the game. Caitlin Clark not starting. I believe there's some agenda behind this. Let's make this very clear. Chelsea Gray has started all 3 games. We have seen Angel Reese start games, Paige Becker start, Kelsey Plum started, Jackie Young started. We've seen everybody start. I think Stephanie White started one of the games. It's been absolutely ridiculous. We watched Kiki Iriafin get a start. It's only a couple games left. They said that they was rotating everybody into starting lineup and doing this and doing that.
Everyone simply witnessed both versions unfold in real time, which is an unsettling aspect. Thus, the next WNBA season felt more like a test than a continuation, because fans are increasingly looking for more than just advancements. They anticipate a decision. Do you focus on what is obviously effective, or do you strengthen a philosophy? It was recently discreetly revealed on a global scale. The larger question that looms over all of this is another. What will happen to Team USA in the future? Does Carl Lawson come back and try to restore the previous system in the hopes that things will appear differently the next time? Or does Nate Tibbetts receive the nod after entering, making one clear change, and instantly releasing the team's version that everyone anticipated from the start? Because this is now a philosophical choice rather than merely a coaching one. Whether you build around your finest player or attempt to divide responsibilities in a way that seems equitable but plays ineffectively, and following all of the recent events, the records, the benchings, the disappearance, it is becoming more difficult to feign after the blowout and the unintentional revelation of 2 entirely different strategies. This is a challenging question because the most illuminating version of the narrative is also the most straightforward. The instant someone gave up attempting to restrict Caitlin Clark,